What's going on, my friends? So today we are back with another new release full review. I talked about this about a week ago. It is Invictus Victory Elixir. I did my first impressions of it about 10 days ago, and I told you guys that I really liked it. I told you that there was a sweetness in this that I didn't quite understand, but now that I wore it a bunch of times, I am more familiar with the type of fragrance that it is. Not only that, but the performance, things it's compared to. And so that's what I wanted to talk about to you guys today in my full review of Invictus Victory Elixir. So without further ado, cue the intro. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. This is Randy, aka FragranceDoud, and we are going to be talking about another new release. Again, this isn't a new release that I'm talking about for the first time. It's Invictus Victory Elixir. It is a fantastic, sweet fragrance that is going to be able to get you compliments. It's nothing groundbreaking. I talked about that in my first impressions, but has it changed since then? I do want to talk about a little bit of the presentation here. Again, just to reiterate, this bottle, if you are looking forward to having the blue gradient, it does not have the blue gradient unless you are holding it into the light, in which it will show it, but very, very barely. You can barely see it. I don't even think you guys could see it from that angle. But yeah, you have to hold it into the light or go outside. So unfortunately, in your collections, it's just going to look like a glossier version of the original Invictus, which was also glossy but had more of a matte cap and this is actually a dark blue bottom and then a clear bottom. So before we get into it, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you can, and then we're going to get straight into this review by starting out telling you guys what the note breakdown is. So Invictus Victory Elixir, the top notes are lavender, cardamom, and black pepper. The mid notes are incense and patchouli, and the base notes are vanilla bean and tonka bean. So I got those notes from Paco Rabanne's website because there was a lot of different notes here and there. Fragrantica had one type of notes, which really didn't make sense. iFragrance had this notes, and they were all wrong. So I got this straight from the Paco Rabanne website. So that's the ones that I'm reading to you. And it did say vanilla bean. So that might be some of the sweetness that I got too as well. I looked those notes up right before I made this video. So again, when you first spray this fragrance on, it's kind of funny because when you first spray it on, it's a little bit lighter than you would have expected for an elixir after the 1 million came out last year, the 1 million elixir, and it was like a powerhouse. And it's kind of a deceiving thing because it's lighter, and then about 10 minutes later, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier to the point where I literally choked out my wife when we went out to dinner at P.F. Chang's, and she made me go into the bathroom and wash it off because it smelled so potent. And all I did was spray it on my hand at that point in time. It was only on my hand. So that's funny. So if you want to know about performance, I ain't talking about it much more than that. It is well over 10 hours, and it is a beast mode performer, and it's going to stick there because we went to P.F. Chang's 5 hours after I made my first impression video when I sprayed it on my hand, and literally 5 hours after, she could smell it. This was 2 sprays. She could smell it from my hand while I was wearing another fragrance. She could smell that from my hand, and I forgot to wash it off. And so, yeah, that's the performance of it. It's beast mode, it's nice, and it doesn't really calm down until like 8 or 10 hours. So it really lives up to just like the 1 million elixir. It's really nice. But the opening is quite fooling for that. So when you first spray this on, you get a little bit of a sweetness, almost like a sugary sweetness. And then you also do get this like fresh spiciness. And it's really a nice introduction to the fragrance. There's some lavender in there that gives it that almost aromatic feeling, fresh spiciness, and then it's surrounded by that sweetness. And I told you in the original video, yes, there's vanilla in this. It doesn't smell like the vanilla from the original. It doesn't. But there's definitely vanilla, but there was something else that I kept calling it the sugary sweetness. I don't know what it is. I didn't know what it was. And then I wore it 4 or 5 more times. And I also talked to a few people, and I just got the ideas. I smelled a bunch of fragrances, and the sweetness is almost like a coconut. I think there actually is coconut in this fragrance because it smells very similar to the coconut from Le Beau and Le Beau Les Parfums. That's where the comparisons between the two really end. If it was closer to any of those fragrances, it would be Le Beau Les Parfums. Doesn't have the pineapple and stuff, but that coconut note, there's something in this. It's a sugary sweetness that really does remind you of coconut. And then you took that coconut note, you mixed it with that tonka and vanillic sweetness that you get from Scandal Les Parfums. And then you mix that together with the fresh spiciness and a little bit of the vanilla you get from this. And that is what you get in Invictus Victory Elixir. That's the best way to describe this fragrance. If you haven't tried any of those, this has like a really dense tonka vanillic sweetness to it, along with caramel, but we're not comparing that caramel. We're comparing that dense tonka, slightly powdery sweetness with the vanilla. Then you add that coconut, which is that sugary, almost tropical sweetness. There's a little bit of almost like a fruitiness to it as well. And then you add in the aromatic notes that you get from the original Invictus, and you put it in here. Personally, for me, I like this one better than the original. I think that the original is more unique because even though it didn't have much going on, it does, you could smell it and say, yeah, that is Invictus Victory. There's not much out there that smell exactly like it. But with Victory Elixir, again, I can compare it to 3 different fragrances, and I could probably keep going because there's a lot of different fragrances in that genre. There's also 1 Million Elixir. I mean, there's a lot of different fragrances like that. With that said, just talking about the fragrance, if I didn't know anything about any of the other fragrances, every one of those I just told you, I own a bottle because I like it. This is good. It's a really good fragrance. It pushes out a lot. If you're looking for a beast mode fragrance that gets you that sweetness that you can wear spring, fall, and winter. I wouldn't wear this in the summer. That'd be way too freaking cloying. But I would say spring, fall, winter for sure. Early spring. It's a really nice fragrance. But if you're looking for the one that isn't super sweet and more relies on that powdery vanilla with the aromatics and that slight earthiness, then go with the original Invictus. I've heard a lot of people say they prefer this one over this one. I give this one about a 7.5. I give this one an 8.0. I don't see any of them as moving forward past that, like to an 8.5 or a 9.0 into my top 25, top 15. I think that this is a really nice release. I think it's nothing groundbreaking, which there hasn't really been any groundbreaking fragrances this year, designer-wise, outside of Boss the Scent Magnetic, but we are early. Boss the Scent Magnetic is just fantastic. But with that said, Invictus Victory Elixir, again, as you work your way into the further into the fragrance, that sweetness still stays there. It's very linear from the opening to the dry down. That fresh spiciness stays there. That sweetness stays there. If anything, you get more of that Le Beau feel as you work your way further into the fragrance. Some of that tonka bean and that vanilla really do push out and take over that sweetness a little bit further down the road. But again, there's not much else to write home about with this. If you're looking for a nice, sweet, heavy fragrance that has a fresh, spicy tone, some woods and stuff like that, Invictus Victory Elixir is exactly what you're going to get. I'm not going to pick out this note, that note, this note, that note, because this is a very kind of like muddled fragrance where everything is blended very closely together, which is why I don't know if that is exactly coconut. It's just it smells very similar to the Le Beau, which is why, and only the part of Le Beau, that coconut vibe. And so, it's a really nice fragrance for what it does, and for the people out there who like the more, I would still say the original is a little bit more of the mature, even though it was never really a full mature fragrance. This one is definitely looking more youthful, more playful, more college party, night out. It's definitely not work safe, stuff like that. It's more youthful because of that sweetness and that coconutty vibe. So it's up to you. Which one do you think that you will like better? Are you willing to try out both of them to see if you're going to like both? I know for the people, especially like Ross at TLTG, he did not like the original Invictus Victory that much. but he does like the Victory Elixir. Compared to it, he likes it better. Same with me. It's just, is it miles better? No, but it's just better because that's the style of fragrance that we like better. Anyway, I'm not going to keep you guys here all day again. It is fresh, spicy, sweet into a woody, vanillic, slightly powdery, and then a heavy sweetness over top. That is the fragrance, and it is really a beast mode projector. It lasts 10 plus hours. It probably will be on your clothes the next day or two. That's how long it would stay on your clothes. So Invictus Victory Elixir, let me know if you've tried it. If you haven't, are you going to pick it up? And yeah, that's pretty much, do you agree with me if you have tried it? Obviously, I did miss out on a few things here. There is some undertones of incense and patchouli, like a woody patchouli, that are really just underneath the fragrance, but they're not anything that, I don't want to confuse you guys and say this is like an incense bomb or a patchouli, earthy, woody type bomb. Those are more undertone nuances. It's more of a fresh, or a spicy, like a fresh spiciness with that sweetness all the way around it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I always appreciate it. And again, I'll be back with another one. Peace out.